mangoes, they were black on the inside. It's like refrigeration burns is what they call them. And they were terrible. So we stopped, and I guess everybody else stopped too. But the Savani Farms, the guy, Dr. Savani, he's the one who was the instigator in getting this approved, has now started what we call a www.savanifarms.com. And he has joined hands with FedEx.
Oh, brilliant.
You will get what they call it, farm to fork. In other words, directly from the farm onto your plate. By FedEx. Of course, FedEx is going to be a little more expensive, but I hope the mangoes that are going to be sold by these farms directly to us will be cheaper. In other words, Dr. Sawani, who's a farmer's son, and, he wants to make sure that Indian farmers, the farmers in Gujarat where he's from, that they make big money. As a farm product in India, they don't get enough money from the middleman. So Savani Farm says, we're going to cut out the middleman from farm to fork. So try giving it a chance, www.savanifarms.com.
That's such a brilliant way to solve the problem, because it was all about the shipping of these mangoes. So let FedEx do it. That's great. I think it's a brilliant concept. I would be willing to pay more just to try the Indian mango fresh off the farm. But we've gotten pretty good at even getting the mangoes from Haiti to be like the Indian mangoes. So all mangoes are good, Indian and elsewhere.
FedEx says they're a new company called Logistical Company. This is perfect logistics.
Well, folks, over the last couple of weeks, months, you've heard some rumblings that the real estate market is actually getting better now.
Yeah.
Here in the Washington, D.C. area, it's traditionally been strong, and we're actually right back to being strong again. But guess who's buying up properties left and right across the country, especially in markets where the market is still not so great? Indians. Indians are buying up properties. And I'm not just talking about Indian Americans. I'm talking about Indians from India who are buying properties here because they have money to spend and they think the U.S. will offer a great future return on real estate. So this is happening. It is happening in Las Vegas. It is happening in L.A. These are your popular traditional markets. Let me read you some statistics here because they're pretty amazing. According to the U.S. National Association of Realtors, Indians contributed 7% of the total international home sales of $82 billion in the U.S. during the year that ended in 2011, only behind the Canadians and the Chinese. Isn't that an amazing fact? Not only that, but according to the National Association of Realtors report, international domestic sales of houses in the U.S. were up $1.7 trillion in the year ended March. $907 billion of which came in from Indians.
Money flows to where the discounts are. I remember only a few years ago, it was so expensive to buy property here. People were just going all the way up to Nicaragua, Croatia, and other places to buy real estate. But now I guess they're coming here to buy real estate because it's much more depressing. Two reasons. Actually, you nailed both of them. One is properties in India are becoming expensive, especially if you're in the major cities. It's actually more expensive per square foot to live in Bangalore or Mumbai than it is to live in D.C. or even in New York. That's right.
Which I was shocked by. In fact, in U.S. cities, especially New York, you can fetch about $1,300 a square foot. But in Mumbai, you'd have to fork over about 80,000 rupees a square foot, which is a lot more than $1,300, right? So it's more expensive there. But there's a second reason. The second reason is it was the Reserve Bank of India that relaxed its foreign exchange rules in 2007, which allowed Indians to remit up to $200,000 a year, up from $100,000, which loosened the pockets, gave people more money, and they're buying up real estate here in the U.S. I find that fascinating.
Fascinating, yes. Another fascinating story is about Cougars. In Bloomberg magazine, about business propositions that have come up for Cougars. Now, folks, we're talking about women Cougars and not animal Cougars. I don't know the definition of woman Cougar. You know a definition of woman Cougar?
Well, I'll give you the street definition of a cougar. A cougar is usually a well-heeled woman who is, achieved great things in her life, but she's usually single. She's an older woman looking for a companion, usually much younger than herself, hence the term cougar.
Well, you know, folks, there are a lot of older men that date younger women. There's no name for them. But for women, there is a name. There's all of a sudden there's a tremendous business opportunities in that particular arena, and it's not cougar driven, it's cub driven.
Well, I can buy that, and not to mention these women are usually well-to-do. They are effectively sugar mamas.
Yeah, they're sugar mamas, and many of these kids are actually going in. They don't have a fetish for older women, but it's like they are doing this as a business, you know. They understand there are cruises where the cougar women are allowed, and of course the cubs are allowed, so on and so forth. They actually elected a Miss Cougar America, not only the entire country basis, but even for city of Los Angeles or Las Vegas or the other places. Some of the stars that actually promote that, for instance, Demi Moore, married to Ashton Kutcher, who's quite a few years younger than her, or Katie Couric is dating a younger guy, or for that matter, you remember Sex in the City?
Samantha Jones.
Yes, she was all over the young guys, you know. So there appears to be a model of business. You know, Bloomberg Business being a business magazine, they're trying to say that take a look at it closely, and you may find there may be a business model somewhere in here.
Well, you think about it, in all seriousness, that's a term that I'm not fond of for the obvious reasons. And as you said, there is a terminology for women. Why isn't there one for men? So there is obviously, we're not on equal footing on that front. But if I look at some of the positives, you have a lot of retail stores now that focus on a demographic of women who exactly might fit the cougar definition. These are women, again, with money, single, who can spend. And they do spend on themselves quite nicely, which is why the fashion industry works.
That's right.
But now you have stores that are targeted. Stores like Chico's, for example, targets an older woman shopper. Not necessarily a cougar, but obviously, you know, they are the ones that have money. But you have other retail stores that are there in that same space. And if you think about it, in some ways, there is some power associated with a woman who is exemplifying a cougar. It's a different kind of a power shift. In some ways, it's a 180 from what we're used to typically with an older man and a younger woman. So if I look at that, I have to at least say we've arrived to a certain point. And if we take on the humorous sides of what that is, then you can laugh at yourself, and I think that's healthy. But what I'm afraid of is that women will all be branded as one thing, which is unfair. And for the people that take advantage, the cubs that take advantage of these women, often who have nice hearts, nice intentions, and they just happen to be single, that's an unfortunate circumstance.
There are websites such as Urban Cougar, Go Cougar, Date a Cougar, Cougared, and so many of them. So there is got to be a business model. I mean, they're trying to push this, and it's okay. I mean, I have no problems with that.
To each his own, or her own.
Well, folks, that's about all we have for you. Again, this is a Memorial Day weekend, a long weekend they call it. We sincerely hope you have a wonderful time. Namaste.
Namaste.